Good morning, everybody. We are going to start here in about 2 minutes just to make sure folks have a chance to pop in. All right, let's do this. Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Happy April, almost end of April. Hard to believe. Thank you for joining me for our third Workforce Connect webinar, where we learn from community college leaders about innovative approaches to solving today's issues. Today, we will hear and be talking with Michell Ward and how she and the Columbus State Community College team in Ohio have approached skills training to expand the talent pipeline within Ohio. Ohio itself has seen a surge in advanced manufacturing and healthcare and skilled trades employment, and Michelle and her team have led really innovative and cool efforts to streamline skills training and create a model in which our learners can engage in a blended for-credit and non-credit based programming efforts across the state, and excited to learn from her. Before that, let me introduce myself a little bit. I was a high school math teacher for a number of years before transitioning to becoming a CTE director for Denver Public Schools, and then worked with Michelle and other community college leaders to create hybrid and online workforce programs. And I'm sure Michelle might share a little bit about that today. It was during my time as a CTE director, as well as a instructional designer and consultant for community colleges, that I learned that we needed a better system and platform to manage our workforce partnerships. So I founded Workforce Connect, which is a workforce partnership management solution that makes partnership management easy. We have a goal to eliminate spreadsheets and hard to use CRMs so that you can streamline your workforce management efforts. Love to share more about that another time. Feel free to email me or connect with me and I can share more. But today's focus is more about skills training. And in Ohio, I would love to introduce you to Michell Ward, the Director of Development at Columbus State Community College, who leads some very cool efforts in the skills training across the state. Michelle, can you share a little bit about who you are? And then let's get going and learn about your efforts.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. Workforce Connect has been great partners to Columbus State over the years, and I was really excited to join today to share out what we're doing across at Columbus State and really across Ohio, as well as some of our partnership and what we've done together with Workforce Connect. So I serve as the Director of Development at Columbus State Community College in our Office of Talent Strategies. So our team was developed a few years back, really consolidated from other teams to be that central sense maker for the workforce and employers to help connect with their future talent. So we straddle credit and non-credit solutions. And my area of particular focus is in advanced manufacturing and engineering technologies. So you'll see a lot of that kind of carry through today, but I'll speak a little bit about what's happening at the college more broadly as well.
Fantastic. I love it. So excited to have you with us today. I just want to use this as a conversation forum between you and me. I know you've prepared some slides for us to chat through to showcase some of your work. As we do that, I encourage the folks in the webinar to add questions into the chat. Michelle and I are going to chat between ourselves here for the next 20 minutes or so, and then we are going to open up the space for a little Q&A. One of my team members, Samantha Sands, will monitor the chat, and then we'll tee up questions for Michelle towards the end. So please feel free to add questions into the chat. All right, Michelle, let's do it. Tell us about Columbus State and all the fun statistics that we have here on the slide with what you are doing.
Yeah, we've got a lot on this slide, but I'm really excited to introduce the college. We are a really large urban community college in Columbus, Ohio, so right there in central Ohio, the capital of the state. We've got about 41,000 students who are full and part-time, but we do serve a majority part-time students. About 79% of our student population is sitting at under 12 credit hours. And we see that also reflected in our student population. We do tend to be a little on the younger average. We've got about 76% of our population is under the age of 24. So not yet, about 25% of our students are considered adult students, but most of our students have adult obligations. So whether that's caring for families, caring for parents, and we really see that reflected in our students' enrollment patterns. Third largest institution in Ohio. So Ohio State is just up the road from us, about 2 miles to the north of us. They're the largest institution in Ohio. Then University of Cincinnati, we're number 3. However, we are the most diverse institution in Ohio, and really serve as that community college transfer partner, as well as career tech workforce partner, really feeding a lot of the most exciting developments that are happening here in Ohio in the workforce space, and really making waves nationally as well.
Awesome. And in recent years, we've seen a tremendous amount of industry moving to the States. I'm sure you can speak to that with a tremendous amount of advanced manufacturing, healthcare jobs, skilled trade jobs coming to the area. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, the last few years has really been an unprecedented boom time for large economic development wins in the state, and specifically in manufacturing. Several years ago, we landed what was at the time the biggest economic development deal in Ohio's history with Intel, setting up its new manufacturing operations in New Albany, Ohio, which is just a couple of miles to the east of where our community college sits. Intel's will bring 4,000 jobs, and about 2/3 of those are in that technician space. So really, our sweet spot, bread and butter, that 2-year associate degree, people with advanced skills training in engineering technologies in the associate degree. Since then, we've just in the last 6 months announced a large manufacturer, Androl, which is a defense manufacturer, has set up shop in Central Ohio, bringing 4,000 new jobs in manufacturing into our region. Honda just announced its joint venture with LG to set up a new EV battery facility, maybe about 20 minutes to the south of Columbus area, um, hiring in the thousands again. So I'm so excited to be a part of all this happening. And it's a lot at the same time when the news, you kind of hesitate to open the newspaper to see what the new announcements are going to be. But all joking aside, we've got really big task ahead of us to make sure that we're preparing our students and the community to take advantage of these great jobs coming into our region, and to make sure that we're providing that talent pipeline, so that way our new partners, our current partners, because we have the good fortune of having really strong historical partnerships with a strong manufacturing base. Ohio has been had manufacturing as part of its identity really since the state was founded. And so we have a lot of partners, old, growing, and future. And really, we've got to make sure that we're preparing students with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to seize those opportunities.
And it's incredible. You talk about an influx of jobs, and
Mhm.
with jobs come training requirements. And you're not alone. This is happening in different pockets of the country, both in cities and in rural areas. And a lot of this training falls on the shoulders, in a good way, of our community and technical college partners. So, as we think about training and creating a talent pipeline to fill all of these jobs coming to your area, talk to us about the CSCC approach and how you all plan to meet that skills training need.
Yeah, and plural is, I think, really the appropriate tense to use in this case, because really having to address and fire on a lot of different cylinders to meet the varying workforce needs. So everything from standing up, entry level customized training programs that can produce folks who are ready to hit the job in as little as 3 weeks in some cases, to needing more intense experiences like our modern manufacturing work study, which is a co-op-like experience that actually takes over 2 years. We need we need to be preparing graduates for skills really across that spectrum. And so this slide, while there's a lot on it, really reflects that um, uh, multitude of responses to the challenges at hand. So, making sure that we're able to produce talent quickly and specifically for individual employers, but also looking at preparing the broader ecosystem and ensuring that our degree programs and certificate programs that are not specific to any one employer still are really aligned with industry needs, and advancing that ecosystem broadly.
Got it. So let's get into some of those specifics here. We have a biotech manufacturing career pathway listed with multiple tiers of opportunities from, I would say, entry level to advanced, like masters and PhDs. So talk to us about the CSCC approach to the talent pipeline and finding places for our community members to advance through the career ladder, if you want to use that term, or enter any of these points.
Yeah, so this is just one call out, an example of the sort of mental model that we've been adopting and building against. This particular models in our pharmaceutical and biomanufacturing space. But we find that, especially as new industries are setting up and there's just this overwhelming need for talent, um, we try to be the sense makers in that ecosystem by creating intelligible career pathways that map against our training products, or help us to develop the training products at the start. So this example really shows how the college rises to meet the workforce needs at multiple different levels. So in our boot camp space, which is about 120 seat hours, non-credit training, we align to those early level production technician roles. We actually sat down with our local biomanufacturing employer base to map out those competencies using a model that's called the BUILD, the Business and Industry Leadership Team, but it's kind of a modified DACM of sorts where we were able to survey the employers to really hone in on what knowledge, skills, and abilities you need to know day one as a production tech or a manufacturing technician. And as we align that to our associate degree, we made sure that each of those steps kind of feed into the next. And we're able to offer, prior learning credit or advanced standing credit for students who complete one earlier level of the section so that they're not having to repeat, that next step, and it all seamlessly stacks together. And that students understands, because we've mapped it out for them, kind of what are the career prospects at each step of that ladder, and how can Columbus State, or eventually once you get into the bachelor degree, one of our transfer partners, how can we get you there without any backtracking along the way, without the need to start over.
Got it. And um, so piggybacking on that and thinking through the different pathways that you've set up, this looks like a convoluted slide at first, but I think it really helps our learners in the college think through how we support our students. So talk us through this slide and how it reflects that.
Yeah, the last one, it's so neat and tidy, and it's just a little arrow that goes up and stair steps up into the career prospects. The reality is a little bit different, and a little bit messier. But hang with us. We're going to explain kind of how this goes. I kind of think about this slide and the next couple of, as almost like football plays, with arrows pointing in and out. And I
You
think
you
while
tell
it's
me
not
when
as
you tell me when to advance because
yeah. It's while it's not as easy at a glance, what you'll see is it really helps this to meet students where they are and where they're coming in. So my colleagues and our operations team pulled this map together, and it really shows kind of our offerings at a broad view, from our entry level kind of pre-readiness trainings with our English language, GED, and digital skills, into stepping up into more technical training with our boot camps, our pharma and biotech boot camp, and then into 4 credit degree opportunities. So if we want to look at the first actual human who went through these programs, you can see this is an example of a pathway that one of our students took, who needed to start out with a little bit of readiness content moving in. So this student needed some ESL and digital skills training before she was ready to take our technical training through the pharma manufacturing boot camp. She also did our patient access, which is a medical program. Um, Ended up really finding her home in the pharma space and was able to get a process manufacturing technician job with a pharmaceutical employer, and then continue on for the biotech associate degree, with support from her employer. Our next, um, same pathway. This person came in ready. So he didn't need any of the readiness programming, was able to jump right into our manufacturing boot camp, our pharmaceutical manufacturing boot camp. And as a result, interviewed with a large pharmaceutical employer in our town, and does some side work. He's a semi-retired individual, working in IT and broadband as well. So a lot of different ways our students enter and exit from these programs, and where they find themselves at the next step. So this student similarly kind of entered in college ready, pursued a couple of our boot camps, trying to find his space within the biopharmaceutical industry that's really growing here in Central Ohio. Was picked up for a paid pharmaceutical apprenticeship with Amgen, as you can see. Was fully paid as a apprentice for the 2-year program, and is continuing in for his electromechanical associate degree and picking up a semiconductor certificate along the way as well. So, um, you know, no one kind of profile or model or way to do college in this space. What we're trying to do is align students with where they are, like what are they coming in with knowledge, skill, ability wise, and then making sure that we have really high quality off ramps through career opportunities at each rung, but the opportunity to jump back in if and when the student's ready to continue on.
Got it. And to what extent, if I'm a student coming to you for the first time, am I presented with this chart or something similar so that I understand my journey along the way?
Yeah, this one's a little bit more inside baseball. Where we start is in conversation so that we understand through interviewing and talking with the students what their goals are, where they'd like to come in, or what they'd like to get out of the program. We do some assessment to see kind of if they need any readiness materials before they're able to be successful in our training programs.
Got it. All right, let's talk about bridging the skills gap to create a competitive workforce. What do you have here for us?
Yeah, so this one is a little bit more in my wheelhouse. I Most of my time is spent on developing new programs. I don't get to see the students quite as much as I'd like. Our operations team has that pleasure. But I focus a lot of time on helping to design programs that will meet the industry need and get our students to those wonderful outcomes from the prior slides. One thing that I think Ohio has done really well over the last few years, Intel ended up being a statewide catalyst for a lot of manufacturing discussion around talent and workforce. But our manufacturing association really took that catalyst and branched it out into a statewide cross industry, cross subsector initiative to map out the competencies required in our manufacturing workforce. So the link at the bottom and this graphic is from their manufacturing competency model, where the Ohio Manufacturing Association works with a number of schools as well as 50 plus employers in the manufacturing sector to identify what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities required of our manufacturing workforce at a variety of levels. So that foundational level is really around professionalism, personal efficacy, study skills, things like that. Um, as we start getting into the yellow and the green levels, that's where we start to see what do we need an individual to know or be able to do in the manufacturing sector? What do they need to understand about safety or about hydraulics or about, electronic systems? And then even going further, depending on what program it is, they start breaking it out by subsector. So what do we need our semiconductor workforce to know how to do or to know about that industry? EV has been another big area of focus, and so really mapping out the competencies for that. Huge amount of work that went into this from the OMA as well as the manufacturers that contributed to this model. Um, Largely the schools, recipients of that model, but I did link it out so that you can reference anyone on the call today can um, join or review online the competency model repository, and it's done a lot of work on behalf of program developers like myself because it maps out exactly the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed for these programs, and it really gives a playbook for content development. To know that we're hitting the right notes.
Love it. And from the outside looking in, you all do fantastic diligence in thinking through your pathways and stackable skills and your progressions. So kudos to you. And folks, I encourage you to talk to Michelle. Michelle, I'm just going to give you an open line to talk to people as well. Uh, and would love for many colleges to emulate what you all have done with skill development and pathways. I'm going to pivot here a little bit and talk about career awareness and exploration, right? So it's one thing to get our community members into these programs. It's another thing to make them aware that these even exist. And I think this is a really innovative space that you all have is that career exploration component. We have a few slides for you to speak about that, but how are community members across Ohio becoming familiar that these programs even exist, that these jobs exist, and that they are cool jobs? There's kind of a running joke around the country as I talk to people about manufacturing that advanced manufacturing is making manufacturing cool again, right? It's new, it's unique, it's not the old dirty jobs that we used to think about with manufacturing. So talk to us about career exploration and getting community and even young community members excited about these pathways.
Absolutely. Um, the challenge before us is really monumental. Our school has kind of set a goal of growing our manufacturing student population by a factor of 4, so 4x. But some analysts have estimated that really for Ohio to keep up with workforce demands, we need 8 times the number of folks entering into the technician pipeline, and that's across the state. But as a workforce professional, those numbers are staggering, and we're at a positive time in the sense that there is a lot of attention in the news and with economic development deals as well as national news around the importance of manufacturing. It's generated a lot of interest in manufacturing. There's really cool technologies and AI and other kind of big splashy things that are getting people interested in exploring what manufacturing means. And we've kind of capitalized on that opportunity in a couple of important ways. One is the career exploration tool that we worked with Workforce Connect to actually build and are rolling out now. So one thing that we noticed was young people are really interested in technologies and passionate about some of the issues, um, uh, you know, uh, in our society today. But they often find that the ability to make big change or to be a part of that um, uh, big revolution is all on the West Coast, right? It's all in Silicon Valley, or it's in these niches that are far from the heartland of Ohio. And so what we did with the career exploration tool is to really show how Ohio is making big inroads and really playing a central part of revolutions in manufacturing. Uh, and students can stay here, have a big impact, as well as build a really uh, robust career with a lot of good pay and family sustaining opportunities right here in Ohio. So we launched our career exploration toolkit focused on 4 key industries that are really making big waves in Ohio. So semiconductor manufacturing, electric vehicles, and the impact of that green revolution on manufacturing automobiles that's happening here in Ohio. Solar manufacturing. We actually have the largest solar manufacturing facility here in central Ohio with Illuminate USA. And people have no idea that that exists. It's just this building on the edge of town. And when we say, actually, that's the nation's largest solar manufacturer, people have no idea. And so we want students to understand, like, if you care about climate change, or if you care about, the future of computing technologies, you can make an impact in those industries right here in Ohio. And those opportunities, companies are here without having to relocate or feel like you have to dedicate years and years of your life to education. So we show similar to what you've got on the slide here, kind of what the different roles are and what education is required to achieve those roles. So engineer versus technicians versus operators, and really help to break that down so students get excited and kind of are able to find their training provider and their local opportunities.
I just love that you're pushing it all the way down into the middle schools, it looks like. It's
We are, yes.
holding that pipeline.
Yeah, the middle school area, I mean, what we've heard more and more is if you wait till high school, it's too late. You know, students are getting a lot more career exposure earlier. And so we wanted to make sure that younger audiences were thinking about opportunities in advanced manufacturing here in Central Ohio. The slide you've got up now is representative of one of our kind of new initiatives in our admissions space, which is, you know, pivoting away from three in a tree or really direct selling the college and the college experience itself, right? So, you know, the stereotype of the admissions presentation is, you know, talking about clubs and, you know, the great green spaces on campus and things like that. Huge, very important, makes college fun. But what we find is that young people are eager to learn more about careers. They want to know that their investment in their educational, you know, is going to pay off, and what exactly we are preparing students for. So we have a team of admissions counselors who are called career educators, and their job as they go into these high schools and other community groups is to help young people to understand kind of what are opportunities, what does it mean to be in semiconductor manufacturing or a technician in EV. How do you get there from you know the classroom into the career? So the next slide you can see really hones in a lot on kind of what we have. This one's Columbus State focus. So what's in our backyard? Where are our students getting hired? Who are our employer partners helping to inform our curriculum? And we want students to feel that, you know, they go into a Columbus State program knowing, you know, I am going to have job opportunities on the back end. I am going to be prepared with relevant knowledge, skills, and abilities. And we've shifted from just selling the college to really selling that career, that pathway. Occasionally, we might have a student, you know, move to another school and take that training program with one of our, you know, competitors. But really, what it is about is helping students to make a choice to get on that pathway of manufacturing or healthcare, whatever the pathway is. Obviously, I'm manufacturing, so I'm biased.
I think it's so cool that you're starting with the employer partner first and backwards mapping that journey for the students so that they know that first day that they start with you, there's an end goal and there's a partner ready for them to pick them up as a colleague at the end of the day. So
Absolutely.
that's super cool, and I love how you're doing that. Talk to me about the WISE pathways that you all have set up.
Yeah, so the two programs that we talked about are previously in the last two slides are focused on, you know, younger audiences and traditional audiences. But increasingly, we're seeing a lot of our growth coming from adult students, career changers, people are looking to make a shift. So our WISE Pathways program is a career exploration program that we've launched. In 2025, so we're about two cohorts into it, that is focused on encouraging individuals. It used to be a little more focused just on women. We've expanded that with the cohorts moving forward to explore careers in sustainable employment in advanced manufacturing. So we invite students to join us from the community in a six session career exploration program that pairs career changers with professionals in manufacturing. We do plant tours, practice gowning, as you can see in the video or in the photo above, as well as speak with role models who are students doing this, you know, entering into this training program or career pathway. So we find that, you know, students are maybe thinking they're at that time where they're need a change. Maybe they're working in a job that's not taking them where they want to go. But even a 2-year associate degree program, while we think that's very short and accessible, that's a long time to invest if you're not even sure you would like that industry. So a program like Wise Pathways is designed to answer that question. So you can know before I go in and start taking coursework or dedicate 2 years to an associate degree, would I like this industry? Like, do I like this workplace? Can I do it? Right? Could I be successful in that industry? So we, again, offer the 6 session, very succinct, focused entirely on career outcomes to get the students in the door, a sneak peek into what the workplace is like, talking with people who've gone before them and forged that path. And the response has been really overwhelming thus far. We've had 2 successful cohorts. A number of our students have gone into boot camp training programs or directly into the associate degree um, as a result of this program. And we're excited to broaden it out. Our first 2 cohorts were in 100% women. And as we broaden in the future, we hope to impact, really great inclusive swath of our career changers and introduce them to careers in manufacturing.
That's a super neat program, and one that I think folks might have more questions on, as a way to gather excitement and awareness for the career pathways in the college. Super cool. There's a theme here that I'm picking up, just how much everything maps back to career pathways, and employer partners. We have one more slide to talk about the connection to industry, but this is a good time for me to remind everyone that Michelle wants to answer your questions. She doesn't always just want to answer my questions. So we're gonna tee it up for you here in a second to ask as many questions as you can. Again, feel free to populate those questions in the chat, and we'll be ready to go. So last slide, as people write their questions into the chat, it all comes back to that intentional connection to industry. So summarize everything that we've talked about here with that connection to industry, your career awareness pathways for students as early as grade 5, to the WISE program, to mapping backwards with your employer partners. Put it all in a bow for us. What are we trying to achieve at Columbus State?
What we're trying to achieve for Columbus State is for our broad community to understand the opportunity that they have right now in 2025, which is really unlimited career potential in advanced manufacturing, the growth of the industry here in Central Ohio, and to make sure that we are doing our part to prepare students with the correct skills and then connect them with industry through facilitated connections. If we leave that last step up to chance, it's a miss. And so one of the last things in our newest initiative is really bridging that final gap with our future technician learning community, where we are inviting our partners in industry to connect directly with our students via LinkedIn, as well as facility tours and on-campus events, to say, this is your workforce, right? This is your future workforce. Help shape that, future workforce, connect directly with them. And our students are hungry for those opportunities. So really, to put it all in a nutshell, it really is keeping that North Star of kind of helping connect our students to life-changing, sustainable career opportunities, and working to make sure that all of these initiatives align to that goal. So from that very point of exploration, I heard about this on the news, but I'm not sure if I could do it, to, I'm in my last semester, I need to make connections, to that employer and get everything aligned. We want to make sure that we're keeping equitable opportunity into that industry at the front and center of our planning process.
Excellent. All right. Let's go to some questions. I had a few actually get emailed to me on the side as we were chatting, and some folks had to pop off early, but I want to make sure I can answer or you can answer their questions, and we'll share out the webinar here as well. So my first question before we take a couple from the chat, what's been hard as you reimagine Ohio? Uh, think about all these careers coming in. What's the hardest part, and how have you all overcome some of these difficulties?
I think one of the hardest parts is the the pace of change that's happening and the urgency around growing workforce. I could have joked about you know uh, hesitating to open the news. But that has produced a real urgency. I think every community college in Ohio understands, the importance for the future of our state and our workforce, our economy, to rise to the occasion, to ensure that we're helping, grow the manufacturing workforce in our region. So ensuring that we're able to be responsive and quickly to keep pace with the rapidity of the changing economy has been a hard part, but it's also the most exciting part of what we've been able to do. I think our state, through the semiconductor initiatives a few years ago, we really banded together to collaborate, to develop and release and adopt a statewide semiconductor certificate that really showed the community colleges can and are responsive to industry and quickly. So that set a really high bar for collaboration and responsiveness. And as other opportunities like Andrel and Amgen have come up, you know, we we see the need for us to collaborate, move quickly and responsively as an individual institution, but also as partners. It's a lot of work, but it's really exciting because it means that we're able to make big changes across all Ohio.
Got it. And it looks like Samantha has a question from the chat, but I'm going to ask one more hard one first, Sam. Michelle, you're doing such innovative work to connect programs to employer partners, actually to connect employer partners to programs, backwards mapping it. Uh, how have you overcome the challenge of what some colleges see as a house divided between non-credit and for-credit programs? How have you all approached this in a collaborative space?
One of the things that we've done really differently is pull together across all divisions at the college around this initiative. Started again with Intel, but very quickly we realized we needed to broaden it out to our advanced manufacturing space. And so we started with a task force, a group that included representatives from our credit-based academic partners, non-credit, and collaborates, really across those sectors to say, here's what we're going to do at the non-credit entry level, at the certificate, at the degree level, and co-build, co-create those, so we don't start from a place of we don't have to break down the silos because we've been partnered and co-creating really from day one in some of these spaces. Our biotech example is a really good one of that day one mentality. So we actually started the development for our boot camp and our associate degree programs at the same time. And when we met with our industry partners, we didn't say, what do you need for the entry level technician? We actually had them rank and vote on knowledge, skills, and abilities across multiple levels. So we started by saying, okay, what roles align with a short-term program, and what would you expect an associate degree prepared person? What kind of roles would be hired? Would you consider hiring for at that level? And had our employer partners rank and vote on what what would be needed at each of those levels. And members of our academic faculty were helped to write our boot camp curricula, and we're at simultaneously developing our associate degree programming as well. So early and constant interaction between those two, and having a real intentional mindset around that seamless pathway from day one.
Got it. Sam.
Great question. The question in the chat was very similar, but there's a second part to the question that will follow up on what you just shared, Michelle, which is, what advice would you have for other colleges that are just starting to figure out how to blur this? Where do they start? And how would you recommend that they start with their own school, their own college, before they connect with the partners on blurring those lines?
Um, well, I think that the second part, I don't necessarily recommend that they start with the college. I think starting with employers in the room and using that skill language, and mapping that to outcomes is the center of the work. So yes, I mean, obviously there's pre-work around aligning and setting goals and intentions, but too often, we come into meetings with employers with kind of our preset notions of like what's ours, what's workforces. It's all workforce, and really letting that employer guide the discussion. I highly recommend using a formalized structure like the build, because it helps to keep things from going off the rails. But to then use that information to help understand, uncover what the knowledge, skills, and abilities are, and then mapping that against kind of what you can deliver in various training modalities and durations first. Because the other thing we're finding is, with the tear the paper ceiling, with this emphasis on stars, right, skilled through alternative means, or uh, it's not means, skilled through alternative, what's the R in star? Uh, uh, that's going to drive me crazy. Um, our employers themselves are refiguring what they are looking for in their hiring, and are no longer what they used to think of as, this is a bachelor's prepared, this is an associate prepared, this is a certificate or non-degree prepared. That's changing even at the employer level. So really starting with that conversation centered around skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities, rather than kind of overlaying it onto traditional college mindsets, I would recommend, because it can open up a lot more opportunity, than maybe you've come in thinking about.
Great, thank you. And routes is the R.
Thank you.
Filter alternative routes.
Oh, Lord.
I had to Google it myself, Michelle. You're good. Don't worry about it.
It's the camera.
I, I'm gonna close us out here first with an extraordinary thank you. The work that you all are pushing is tremendous. It's monumental. So many jobs coming to the area, and thinking through backwards mapping first with the employer and using that as how you design programs at the college is innovative, and it's work that's hard. And so I applaud CSCC, your efforts, and those across the college. Next month, I'm going to actually share my screen here as I say this, because it's important and I want everybody to know. Next month, we are going to be talking with two individuals from Studer Education, Dr. Janet Pilcher and Julie Kunzelman, who are going to chat with us about managing a talent pipeline in times of extraordinary change. And part of that extraordinary change, I think you alluded to, Michelle, is that it's all workforce at this point. College has changed, and our student expectations have changed, and the outcomes are changing, right? We're measuring success by not only certifications and degrees and completions, but also placements. And so how do we think about creating talent pipelines and also internal talent pipelines. How do we reposition our faculty, our staff, and our leadership teams to rise to that occasion? So I think you've teed that up very well for us to have that discussion next month on May 28th at 12 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I hope everybody can join us. But for now, I want to say thank you once again, Michelle. It's been a fantastic conversation. I'm excited to post this on LinkedIn and through the Workforce Connect channels so that more folks can learn from the great work that you're leading. So thank you again, and everyone have a fantastic weekend.